hop over into the sector analysis. We're going to go over to thebarchart.com, stock market sector matrix. Few things stand out. The consumer discretionary got smoked. Why was that? Well, that was because of Target and Walmart last week, right? Healthcare held on. We'll see that when we look at the ETF. And energy is still strong, obviously, but utilities also held on. And the other thing that, I'm sorry, I did not mean to say Walmart and Target smoked the consumer discretionary. Consumer staples got smoked because of that. I misspoke there. And you can see it's like probably the biggest down week that sector's had in a very long time. Very long time. Consumer discretionary still getting smoked, but that one is more so obvious, right? Because first thing that people stop buying is materialistic stuff they don't actually need when we start to look like we may head into some form of a recession, right? Got quantitative tightening on the horizon. Interest rates keep going up. And, the economy is kind of in a precarious spot. So consumer discretionary is the first thing that typically goes out the door with that stuff. So let's head over to the ETFs and we'll check them out real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on them. Retail obviously got smoked. Target and Walmart had a big part in that. They are pretty oversold down here. I could definitely see these things getting a bounce. Financials, they're kind of just hanging on. Again, another one of those ones where we broke last week's lows but didn't close below them. In fact, literally just got a little flush below and we're right back above. So be very interested to see if this does want to kind of magnetize back up towards the 20-day. Real estate, again, the only reason I follow this is because I am interested in the real estate market and I'm trying to see how well this correlates with what we're seeing in the actual market. But the first thing to notice just from a technical standpoint is the fact that when we bounced in the underside of that monthly 20, which you can see was also a key level from back here, rejected, and we came back lower. Now, pretty bullish candle on Friday. We'll see if they suck it back up. But again, I don't trade too often in this sector. There's not a lot of individual equity names that have the range and the liquidity to make these desirable for me. Healthcare, again, this is the one we said, held tight and it's still holding these key levels. So if I was looking for stocks that might have some sort of a long setup, I kind of like this look. If we were to push back above, what is this up here? 131, let's call it 131.40. That's definitely going to be interesting to see if that triggers. You've got your low, the push back up into the 20-day, higher low, and if we break that, we should get a bit of a move up. So that's what I'm looking for on that sector. Building and industrials, I don't typically trade. Still look like crap. If I'm just trying to quickly give you like what I'm seeing, industrials much more so, right? The material sector is it is still holding on. It's still trying to hold some levels. You can see it's holding this monthly 20. And it's just this key level right here. Kind of reminds me of what the financial sector kind of looked like it was doing. If you look at here where it, really was trying to hold this channel and then finally fell apart. You finally got that crack, the push up to make the lower high, and then it rolled over. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what we're going to get here, is just trying to hold these levels, might get the crack, and then put in a lower high and start to roll over as well. True bear markets typically do take down all the sectors, right? Even with energy and oil so strong right now, if we go into a recession, some of those things might come in quite a bit as well. Typically nothing sacred in a bear market. So utilities, really like how this is holding. I really do. You got this inside week last week. You see I have an alert set up here. If we clear this, go over this 72.75 area, I think we're going to get a push. And I do have one name from this sector in my long list this week, so you'll see that. And it's just an important thing for you guys to understand about why I look at sectors and try to analyze what sectors have strength, what sectors are weak. Well, if I'm trying to create long ideas, I want them to be in sectors where I think money's flowing into, where they have some strength still, which was that goes back to the intro, right, where we're talking about how to trade bear markets. I don't want to be getting long on sectors that are just extremely weak, unless they get oversold. And get it an extension away from the 20-day. Yeah, so I like that inside weekly candle there. I just think if we clear that level, I think this is going to get a push. So here's your consumer staples. Guys, keep in mind, this sell-off is pretty much because of Target and Walmart. And you have Costco this week too. So I think what happens with this sector may hinge on what happens with Costco. If I recall, Costco's later in the week though, right? Probably Thursday, maybe even Friday morning. I don't really want to go pull up that image again right now, but I'm pretty sure it was later in the week. So there may be that looming uncertainty in this sector. And you guys have seen situations where we have this kind of stalemate. It's similar to the way a market will go into a chop as we approach like the Fed minutes. Nobody kind of wants to make a move first until we start to hear the Fed minutes come out, and then then all hell breaks loose. But it is interesting to see if we reclaim some levels, because this sector was super strong. It was one of the very few remaining sectors that had a good looking bullish chart, right? Like prior to losing these levels, this uptrend was intact. So I'm very, very interested to see, do we reclaim some levels, or do we push back up into these levels where we came from and find some serious resistance? Because it's going to take a little bit of time to heal this broken chart that they've just demolished with last week's price action. Consumer discretionary still getting killed, coming into levels again down here at this 132.90 level. I expect that to act like some pretty good support if we flush down lower. And that's the type of stuff, if we come down here, look at that extension from the 20-day. There may be some bounce plays in that sector. Communications, we may be putting in a higher low here. Again, it would need to clear, let's call it 60. It would need to clear 60 to have a shot at reversing. We do have quite the extension from the weekly 20. No surprise there. Communications has been very weak this whole bear market. In fact, we discussed that a lot, right? This is the sector that kind of started the bear market well ahead of every other sector. Biotechs, I should probably make a Martin Shkreli joke right here. I feel like he's out of prison. Maybe he's going to start buying up some of these really cheap, based on a book valuation, biotech stocks, right? There's a lot of stocks trading below cash. He's a very smart guy, regardless of what you personally think of him. And so he gets out of prison after being in prison for a few years. I wonder what he's thinking as he looks around the biotech arena. We'll see, because it doesn't really matter, honestly. Like that, I mean, that's just me being silly. All that matters is the chart. If we find a bottom, if this starts to make higher lows and then starts to make higher highs, again, I've been saying this every single week, there should be a shopping list of names that are trading under cash, where when this market decides to finally bottom and finally start making higher lows and higher highs, there should be plenty of opportunities. Technology, obviously very similar to what I always say about the NASDAQ. Again, did not close below the previous week's lows, just flush below. I think we may have a rally. We'll see. I have short ideas and long ideas from this sector, so I'll be ready for any scenario. And then your energy and your oil, obviously, bull trend still intact. Higher lows, higher highs. I mean, you can't really... I don't understand how people can fight this and say that they think this is a big short. There's, when the time comes, when this finally rolls over, makes a lower high and then a lower low, then we can have that conversation. But for right now, be objective, follow the trend. It's higher lows, higher highs. Don't fight it. Buy dips or short really big significant extensions. That's the only way to play these strong sectors. And again, you'll see, I feel like kind of getting a bit of a flag up here on oil as well. And obviously CL, the crude futures, is not a ETF, but I definitely check this chart out plenty. And you've got higher lows here, kind of building a little bit of a roof. I think this thing breaks through, and this, you could see another push in crude as well. So that's the overview on the sectors. Let's head right into the individual ideas. So we're going to start with the long setups. The first setups I look for are strong stocks where I'm looking for continuation. So the first name is AEP, and it's exactly from last week's prep, guys. This is the same idea, the same name, and the exact same thing I said.